what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but you never know what you're doing. You just have to want it so bad.
Right.
You just want to get up and commit to it enough that you're working every day towards it. And then you wake up one day and you're like, wait, I did all that?
Yeah.
Because it's not like a one big bam thing. It's little steps to that ultimate goal, right?
It's the Immigrant Unfiltered podcast with Hamza Ali. Hey guys, welcome to the Immigrant Unfiltered podcast. It's me, your host Hamza Ali, and today we have an amazing guest, Nida Lodean, who has over 800,000 TikTok followers and an amazing presence on Instagram. And she does really amazing things and inspires a lot of youth with all of the stuff that she actually, showcases on her platform. And with that, actually, I want you to introduce yourself, Nida. Please give us an amazing intro. I mean, you are just such an amazing human. We want to hear all about it.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. But basically, doing it all. I don't know if there's one way to put it, to capture my definition, but I practice law. I'm a full-time attorney. I make content. I give business consultation. I do it all.
So, I've been following your journey a little bit, and it seems like there's a huge shift as of recent, right? But prior to that shift, I wanna better understand what started your social media journey.
So interestingly, I was done with law school, and I was working at a law firm at the time as a law clerk, still studying for the bar exam. And somebody was like, "Hey, we need Desi-looking model for a music video." The word got to me, and I was like, "Sure, what a fun little thing to do." I ended up featuring for Bohemia. He's an Indian music artist. And that was the start of things. I, featured for that, and then got featured for Dry Bar. It's like a hair salon.
So very familiar with Dry Bar, yes.
I modeled for them for, a bunch of campaigns. I was like the face in like Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, like all these different stores, and it would be really fun. As a law student, I really never thought I would end up here, but I was always working in makeup counters. I was a MAC girl back in the day. I was a Sephora girl.
What's back in the day?
Back in the day, I want to say undergrad years.
Okay.
And I was in Kansas City at the time. So, yeah, I was a MAC girl in Kansas City.
Is that where you grew up?
So I was born and raised in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, so we have a lot to talk
A
about
lot
there.
to talk about there. I know you're from Dubai.
When did you move here?
I was 11 years old,
Okay.
right after 9/11
So
had
relatively
happened.
young. Okay.
Yes. I moved straight to Kansas City. My dad's family lives there. So I lived there for a while, went back and forth between Kansas City and LA, and then did law school in Florida, and then back in LA, and I've been there for a while.
That's a journey,
Yeah.
basically. Kansas City to LA. So what was the relationship between Kansas City and LA?
My dad he's one of 7 siblings.
Got it,
There's
got
a
it.
lot
So
of
there's
family here.
right?
Yeah, so there's
So,
just a lot of
yeah.
bouncing back and forth
and-
as an immigrant.
And I feel like with the cultures, you have to kind of go visit, and you have to kind of do all that.
Yeah, especially when you're an immigrant, right? You're still figuring out where to lay down the roots, what's your home.
Yeah.
So my parents were doing that, very natural.
So Kansas City, LA, and then you went to study in Florida.
And Florida.
Where in Florida?
I was in Jacksonville.
Oh, nice. Jackson. Yeah,
Yes.
that's nice. And what was that like?
It was really interesting. A lot of gators everywhere.
Okay.
I was in a fast track program, so I did law school instead of 3 years. I did it in 2 years. So that's why the random place Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But it was really nice. I liked it.
So what's a fast track program? Sorry,
Fast track basically means I don't get any breaks, but I'm done with law school in
got
2
it.
years instead of doing a whole
Got it,
3-year
got it.
program.
So you still have to take all the courses. You
I did
have to go
everything,
through everything.
just in a fast track.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you don't take any breaks. You know, funny story. I actually also didn't take any breaks, but I took 4 years to graduate with, and I don't want to disclose my GPA.
Ooh, let's hear it. That's the juicy stuff.
So I would also say I tried to fast track myself, but unfortunately, I think college was just not my forte at the time. Yeah. So good for you. I mean, you managed to do it in 2 years, and and you studied the harder thing. Obviously,
Yeah.
I studied much simpler things back then.
Yeah. What did you study?
I studied marketing,
Okay.
but it was before social media.
So that's smart. You needed everything you needed, right?
Well, yeah, but we studied like newspapers and like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah. So I'm
Okay, so
talking like,
you really missed
yeah,
out
yeah,
on
yeah.
the social media world.
Ads, like print ads, banners, that type of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So we were like way before. So I think when I graduated, when Facebook like kind of started to take
Oh
off.
man. Okay. So yeah, that's everything you learned is kind of irrelevant now,
Exactly,
huh?
exactly.
Yeah.
And now I do real estate. So, so it's like,
Look at where we all ended
yeah.
up.
Now I do TikTok and real estate, right? So it's just very interesting. So okay, walk us through that. So you went to Jacksonville. You fast tracked your way. You became a clerk. You did all of these like appearances.
Yeah.
What like how does somebody from in law go and do that? Because it seemed like that kind of sort of became your thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think, especially as an immigrant, you from a really early age on realize that you have to learn how to adapt and then stand out in that community shining, right? And so when you come into new communities, you're the odd one, right? You're the black sheep, and you're not fitting into anything, and so you learn ways to excel within that community that you're outcasted from. Um, when I moved back to LA, even though I was, I had a law degree and everything, there was just a little outcast thing still going on. And
Was that because you were like coming from the Middle East?
I think it was a lot of things. It was not just the Middle East, but also being not from LA. You got to understand LA is very cliquey. Everyone knows everyone. Everything is very like systematic. It's Hollywood. Like people, it's all about network and communication. And I understood the importance of that at such an early age on, that by the time I got into law school, I realized that that is the skill I need to perfect. And I say skill very particularly because it's not something I mean, there might be people that are naturally good at it, but majority of us, especially after COVID, we struggle with social work, being social beings, right? And so learning that skill to network with the top of the top, that was like the aim. And although, yes, that music video gave me a little heads up, right? But it was really about the networking outreach of building that community and a platform that got me further opportunities. And I think that that's true in no matter what field you're in, really.
So it's still a hustle. It's still a grind. You have to continuously like,
All the time.
in order
It
to.
doesn't stop.
And what is that like? Is it easy? Like, I mean, obviously it's not easy. Nothing's easy. But like, can anybody do something like this?
Anybody can do it.
You just need to know what you're doing.
No, you don't need to know. I don't know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but you never know what you're doing. You just have to want it so bad.
Right.
You just want to get up and commit to it enough that you're working every day towards it. And then you wake up one day and you're like, wait, I did all that?
Yeah.
Because it's not like a one big bam thing. It's little steps to that ultimate goal, right?
Absolutely.
And I still don't know what the ultimate goal is. It just continues to change. You continue to hit milestones.
Right. And you get better every day.
You get better every day.
Going back to getting better every day, what was your life in Abu Dhabi like?
I was 11 when I moved here, so I have some memories, not all, but I do remember, my parents talk about it all the time. They're like, we wish we could go back because growing up in a Muslim country, it's a whole different culture, and alhamdulillah, my dad was a very established man. So from a young age, I just have great memories of like, going to school, and we went to really good schools, and we got the European education back there. We didn't get the American education, but we were so advanced that
Yeah.
when we moved here, I actually have never been to sixth grade. So I went from fifth to seventh
Yeah.
because they were like, you guys have advanced yourself.
That is correct.
Just so there were just little things that the lifestyle is amazing there.
Yeah. Definitely, lifestyle is a whole different lifestyle.
Absolutely.
The Middle Eastern culture is just so much friendlier, easier, and definitely education-wise, I mean, we beat the Americans out of
Yeah.
like it's just so rigorous, so intense. In fact, same thing happened to my kids when my
Okay.
kids came here. When we all moved here, I felt like they were just too advanced for the American education system.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I kept them in the same. Like, I didn't advance them. I chose not to. for age, reasons. But I
Right.
feel like, they got lazy. It's like we don't need to study for a whole year. They don't need to do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely what happened to us. We realized that educational system was a lot easier and
Yeah.
a lot of us fell back. My parents used to pray I make it through high school.
Really?
I was like the D's and F's kid, and I love telling this story because I'm like, you guys, I was the ultimate like failure kid. My parents used to be like, may Allah make her get through high school and give her this high school degree. And then all of a sudden, like when we were deciding, undergrad and whatnot, all of a sudden it was like, no, you're gonna go to med school. That's what you're doing. That's what all your sisters are doing. And the rest of my sisters, I'm one out of five siblings, and everybody's in medicine. Like all of them did it. I hid from my parents for, I want to say, over a year that I was a pre-law student. Yeah.
How does that even happen?
You know,
So you went to school.
yeah. I enrolled as a pre-med
Oh,
student undergrad.
okay.
I was taking all those anatomy, biology. I was in a school in undergrad that had a 6-year medical program. So it was like one of those great schools where people come and they're like the nerdiest of the science geeks. Like they know their science. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't know what's going on here. I don't like this one bit. And ended up joining mock trial. I don't know if you're familiar. It's similar, like debate team, but for law, and you compete and travel the world. So that's what sparked my interest in law.
Yeah, that's what fueled the fire, I
Yeah.
guess. And you realized you're really good at it, and you were
I was like,
passionate
I like
about it.
doing this. I'm good at this.
Wow. That's amazing. The fact that you were able to hide, because I feel like in our cultures, it's all about the education, especially with
Yeah.
parents, right? It's
Yeah.
all about education, education. The fact that you could hide that or, not tell them about it
Yeah.
is a huge. What about pushback?
I mean, it's funny because everyone's just like, "What you wanted to be a lawyer from your parents? Like that should have been an amazing thing." But in reality, what my parents were protecting me from, which eventually became the truth, was it's a very male-dominated field, right? And I see that every day. I'm in majority of the rooms, especially when I first started practicing law. I was a criminal defense attorney, so majority of the courtrooms I walk into, the judges are males, like the opposing counsel, like every single person almost was. It's a very, very, and then the more I got into the corporate world, just recently last week, my boss had a meeting with his team, and he was like telling us, if any of you feel any misogynistic discrimination when you're doing depositions, whatever you're doing, I need that reported. That's not like an option. I need you guys to come and report it to us because we just can't handle any more of that misogynistic culture in the legal field. And people think we've progressed, but again, these little things continue to happen where you feel this male aggression while you're practicing,
Right.
and the undermining of a woman practicing law. So
Right.
I did understand my parents' perspective eventually, but at the time I was passionate. I was like, you don't know, I'm so good at this.
Let's talk about pushback. So, obviously, you're on social media, as creators, as Muslim creators, as
Yeah.
immigrant creators, as minority creators, we go through a lot of, or I would say a lot of people that have sitting in that chair have told me that they go through a lot of different, you know, uh, emotional cycles depending on, where they are with their journey.
Yeah.
Um, I guess first thing I would want to cover is family pushback, because I feel like that's something that as immigrants, our families are like, "What are you doing? Why are you?" Is that something that was the case for you?
Absolutely. I was the first one in both sides of the family, like popping off on social media. Everyone was like, what? Like, family from back home was hitting up my parents, like family and friends, like the community was freaking out. And then, I got that pushback from my parents eventually that trickles down. And there's a lot of pressure in that. But I think, like I said, when you finally do things for yourself and the repercussions of what you're doing, like whatever decision you make, it may not be something your parents or the family or the community agrees with, but you need to know that whatever the effect is, the repercussions are of that decision, you're the only one who's going to live with it, right? And as long as you're good with that and you're content with your own decisions, you eventually learn how to navigate that pushback.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but initially there was pushback.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My parents were just so confused. They did not like the judgment. And, to be honest, I was on that, like, initially when TikTok first popped off, and, I had like a crazy comment war going on. There was this haram police, and
Yeah.
like, they just had so much judgment on. I mean, I get it. I was like, bleached blonde hair, like platinum blonde. I was, going out. This is just not the traditional Pakistani look that you see. And then I was associated with the Pakistani community. So that did trigger a lot of people. And absolutely, there was a pushback. But I think it's all like a learning curve.
It's funny you mentioned the haram police, because I think as Muslim creators, we all go through that.
Yeah.
It's something, no matter what you're educating on, teaching, preaching,
Yeah.
whatever, saying,
Somebody's correcting you.
there's always going to be haram police. And the funny thing is that they're on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's
the
like
platform.
Yeah.
The devil runs
It's
it.
It's like, I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, I don't know, maybe get off TikTok,
Yeah.
but that's very interesting. So, walk us through, you said COVID, the pandemic, TikTok came,
Yeah.
came to life. What really, started you off on TikTok? Because it was a brand new idea for me, at least, or for a lot of people. Short form content, 1 minute videos, 30-second videos. What really made you think that, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and I think I'm gonna be good at it?
Well, I was around content creators, and TikTok was previously Musically. So it just became, that app turned into TikTok, right? So I was around creators who were on Musically, and this was like their career. So I was very familiar with this platform, and the amount of monetization value that there is in this app. That being said, when I was seeing the TikTok rise, it was very interesting because now people were able to monetize in a whole different way. TikTok was really, the algorithm was brand new. It was able to outreach people that we had never seen before. Like, this was better than any other platform. So the goal wasn't, let's make short-lived TikTok videos or whatever. The goal was, this is a fresh platform, and there is so much outreach that we can tap into whatever industry we want. So we were like playing around with so much when it first started. And this is before the pandemic. Like, this is way when TikTok just became from Musically to TikTok.
And this was pre-pandemic.
Way pre-pandemic.
Because most of the people that I've spoken to have found massive success, but it was due to
The pandemic, yeah.
That was when they kind of like, blew up sort of
Yeah.
on social media. So you're like one of the like very first people, I guess, to get on the platform.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
What's the next platform?
You know what? I don't know yet. This is a good one still. I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't miss out. Don't be intimidated by the rise of what it's become. It's still a great platform to start.
Yeah. You're not looking at like, just in case it gets banned or something. Where do you think people are gonna go next?
Snapchat Shorts are big, YouTube Shorts are big. So the thing is, those things didn't exist before TikTok, right? So the thing about TikTok is it created this culture where I remember when this is also again pre-pandemic, I remember when I first started making TikToks, Instagram invited me to their headquarters to talk about what is TikTok doing, how are you like popping off, what is their success algorithm, like everything. And this is before Reels. And so the thing about TikTok is it has started the conversation in all other platforms. So even if, God forbid, something happens to TikTok, there's conversations already. And already there's so many great platforms,
Do you think something's going to happen to TikTok?
Potentially, but I think it could come back again if something does happen,
So like it would get banned and then somehow come back again?
I don't think it can permanently get banned. I think there's just so many people that are lobbying against that. So I think there's potential still.
I mean, we met through TikTok.
Right. Instagram, TikTok,
so
exactly.
There's a lot of good that comes out of it as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, so you are really like, probably the pioneers of, I would say, just because you were surrounded by the right people and, obviously you had the monetization. You were seeing what other people were doing.
Right.
And what has that journey been like? Like you're talking about monetization. So if someone wants to join social media today, let's say short form content, and figure out, is there money to be made?
Money is there. Money is more there than in any, like we were talking about your advertising degree. Like those like real print things just are kind of irrelevant now. Money is in social media, and no matter what business you have, no matter what individual being that you want to show the world, if you want to monetize off of it, there's absolutely opportunity. And the thing about TikTok is the algorithm is designed for people who have talent and nowhere to go to be able to showcase that, right?
Showcase that, yeah, absolutely. TikTok has just changed the game, I think.
Has changed the game.
Okay, so now let's go and hear a little bit about what you have done, because you've done a lot. I don't know if I'm sure you know this, but you've inspired a lot of people to do a lot of different things, to try a lot of different things, right? So you're not only posting content, you're
Right.
also providing a lot of value.
No.
And then I'm just thinking as to, was that out of like people reaching out to you and telling you, hey, good job, we want to learn more? And how did that transition happen from just, hey, I'm going to post content today, to, hey, I think I can talk about a lot of valuable things that are going on either within the community or about work or whatever that is?
I think life hits you and you just want to be more real with yourself. And so a lot of the times we get social media is so fancy and so pretty, and especially with the Instagram culture, we like filtered out our lives to make it all perfect. And especially when the pandemic hit, it became so real to be with yourself. Like there was no one else, there was no distraction. And I think it allowed me to be in this journey of realizing, like, let me give back in a way that's more authentic. And like I started exploring, I started playing around with my For You page, my content vibes, like different things, to see what else I can do to cater to the people. And to be quite honest, my biggest feedback was, the source was always my comment section. I take that very seriously. I look back at what my followers like to see more, what's really going on in that comment section, because like it's not just comments. TikTok is like a whole conversation going on. Like there's threads of information there. So your own followers will tell you what they like more and want to see more of. So it's easier when you're in tune with who you are and how authentic you can be to your followers.
Is it a time consuming activity to post social?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Like how much, would you say that you dedicate hours in a day to prepare content?
I feel like I used to. Not so much anymore.
Okay.
But I still say that that is the key to success. I feel like now I'm at a state of life where I can consistently post just little bits and that's enough. Whereas somebody who's trying to build a great big platform and they're just starting out, I absolutely recommend you to spend that time in not just posting, but planning the pre part of it and then the post part of it, editing, figuring out from A to Z your concept of what you're delivering to your audience.
Yeah. So you do need to prep for that. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Who are your best followers? Like, what is that avatar like? And who are your worst followers?
I don't know what that means.
Like, I mean, if you're saying that you're, in the comment section and you're very in tune with what you get, as in comments, and I'm sure that impacts you, which is why it allows you to like get, generate future content.
Right.
So what are the best comments? What are the worst comments?
I mean, like I said, there's the haram police.
Excluding haram police is just a whole different
They're
story.
just like out there to eat me alive. No matter what I do is not good or not right. But then there's supporters. There's like a whole like group of people that are like fighting on my behalf, and sometimes I like feel so bad because they're getting themselves involved in things that I'm like, how can I help stop this conversation? Should I delete the comment? Like,
so are you saying that people will post a bad comment and then other people will?
oh, absolutely. Other people come for my defense.
Okay, well, that's
and
good. Would you say it's a 50-50?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. There's as much as bad exists, good exists. And I think that's true with any social
Right.
media platform in the world, like how things go. There's a yin and a yang,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously you're an attorney. You still post on social media. I think, are you as active as you were on social media still?
And not as much.
Okay.
It's more strategic now.
Okay.
It's very like planned out content. What do I want to deliver? How I want to deliver it. Whereas back in the day, it was just like post, 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 because that's how you build a platform. You're testing things. You're.
How many times are you posting? Like, if there's a strategy behind it, what is that strategy?
It's not how many times anymore. It's when the message is right and ready to be received by the people.
So it's not like a once a day.
Not anymore. No, it used to be like 3 times a day on TikTok, once on Instagram, just different platforms.
Yeah.
Not
Depending
so
on the
much
algorithm.
anymore. That's what had to be done every day, once a day on Instagram, 2, 3 times at least on TikTok, sometimes even 10 times on TikTok is, yeah.
Wow.
There were days where I was just posting back to back.
Zara, we need to do 10 times a day now. I don't know. I don't know how we figure that one out, but we'll figure it out. Wow, that's a lot of That's a full-time job.
It was a full-time job.
That's a full-time job for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 times a day is just ridiculous. Like, that's just,
Yeah.
different levels of discipline in social media. So, okay, so let's get back to now you're an attorney. What is life like?
Life is good.
Okay,
Alhamdulillah.
That's very good. Alhamdulillah. Knock on wood.
Allah has blessed me with everything I've ever wanted. Life is really good. Work is amazing. I work full-time remote at this point, so no more criminal defense attorney. I loved practicing criminal defense law. It was one of my favorite times of my life. Some of the greatest cases I've worked on in LA. But it was a mental toll. It was taking a lot out of me. I was listening to a lot of information, dealing with a lot of things that confidentiality, you just have to live with it. But now I do civil practice. I'm a complex business and tort litigation attorney, so it's all online, remote. It's a great life.
And is there much litigation in that?
It's all litigation.
It's all
So
litigation.
all I do is fully litigate.
Okay.
But because I can practice civil is a little different, so it can be done over Zoom. It's more flexible. Criminal attorney and judges are a whole different game. So yeah, that's why it was all in person when I did criminal. But with civil, everything can be done remote.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Walk us through, what the future looks like.
The future. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, you've told us a lot, but where's the future?
Future, there's just so much I want to do. There's not one real thing, like the ultimate goal, what I end up seeing myself doing in the big picture, philanthropy stuff.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's just what I want to eventually like tap into big time nonprofit organizations, water wells, providing education for, third world countries, and especially our countries back home.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity that these kids need, and we're blessed.
Are you
So,
involved with any nonprofit organizations that still work internationally, like back home?
back home in LA?
In Pakistan,
Oh.
or I don't know, wherever back
I
home
mean,
is.
I do a lot of nonprofit organizational work, and I do a lot of projects, but they're all like based in LA that spend their money and work out in third world countries.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and some of
Yeah.
them do some phenomenal work. Like,
Amazing stuff.
I've seen things just that are almost unbelievable sometimes.
Yeah.
With the last one I saw, there was a Muslim community, and they built an entire water system
Yeah.
in somewhere in Africa where it's not for Muslims. It's like we're not supporting our own people. We're
Right.
actually supporting the people of the land.
Right.
And they built this entire infrastructure to provide water in elevated areas.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It's like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I'm sure their money could be spent elsewhere, but they have strategic reasons, but they're also really doing a lot of good, which is like amazing.
Sadka Jariya.
I mean, yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it is.
It's just amazing to see.
Yeah.
Selfless.
When you finally hit that point in your life where everything is kind of stable now, you're not on survivor mode, you're not chasing, you just have things coming. You have to decide what you're going to do with your blessings, right?
Right.
There's just so many decisions to be made. Money is coming in, alhamdulillah, life is good. So then, like, what can you do for the people? What can you do for your akhirah?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. How do your parents feel now?
Proud.
Yeah.
all the time. They tell me all the time they couldn't be more proud. They're very happy. Like they've seen the growth and they were a part of that journey. And I think just like me, there's so many of us. We're all on our journeys and we all just need support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. You know, it's a journey, and somehow, we all kind of grow and become who we are, I guess.
And we just like wake up one day and we're like, how did
How
we
did this
do all that?
Yeah. Looking back, what are some of your most proudest moments?
um, Getting into law school,
Yeah.
that was a big one. Passing the bar, um, building this platform, having a voice and a positive influence, and making my parents proud. That to me is the ultimate contentment. When you finally hear your parents say, like, we couldn't be more proud.
Yeah. I think we live for that
We live for that.
as children of immigrants, right? Or
Yeah.
immigrants or whatever it is. Because even I can tell you, like my son, as a child of an immigrant, I think he lives for that. Like when you tell them that, hey, we're proud of you, I think that makes their day.
That's
That
all
changes
we
everything.
want.
Yeah.
We're in America. Everything's given. We just want to make our parents proud.
Uh, something interesting I wanted to talk about is today living in America. I really don't feel like I live in America, as in, there's so many immigrants and it's growing. And alhamdulillah, I feel like a lot of immigrants are more well-to-do than not because they just come with like a built-in drive.
Right.
Or their children are much more well-to-do than they were when they came, because the goal is you come here, you provide for your kids, and then your kids become um, is that something that you have also seen on your end?
Yeah, my parents, we got here and struggled very much, moved around, couldn't figure it out. Um, I told you I'm out of five siblings. All of us were pushed into education. All of us were told to go get grad school degrees and build that empire for them, that dream, the ultimate American dream. Like that was absolutely on the menu.
And you said all of them became doctors.
All of us have grad school degrees. So my older sister's a chiropractor. I became a lawyer. My younger sister just matched for her residency. Another younger sister just got her master's in psychology, marriage therapy, and counseling. And then my youngest brother wants to do law school like me.
That's
so
awesome.
all of us are
That's great.
nerds.
I bet you inspired him.
Yes, he's
How
so
old is he?
excited. He's 19. Well,
Oh.
he actually just turned 20 a couple
Okay.
days ago. So
Okay.
yeah,
So relatively young.
you're relatively young.
And what's y'all's relationship like?
You know what? I think we all had phases because a lot of moving parts, like grad school, someone's moving here, someone's moving there. So whoever was in the house with the parents got that moment,
Yeah.
getting married, moving out, and all of that. So whoever's there.
Whoever's there. That's right. Um, let's talk about marriage.
Yeah.
Where is that on on the list now? First of all, is there someone? Was there someone? And then where is marriage on your list?
It's on the list, absolutely. Very single.
Okay.
I think it's so hard as like
How do people even find each other? I don't even know.
I don't know. It's so
I don't know
hard.
what I don't know what the young people are doing
It's
these
not
days.
normal. It's so hard to date or meet people of quality and like I don't know. It's hard.
How do you do it? And especially you. I mean, I would consider you to be like sort of high profile.
Right. So it's
So-
so hard.
You would need somebody. Is meeting someone equally high profile, like, would that help?
The thing is, not high profile. I could care less about that. It's being established in life. I don't want to be the sugar mama. I don't want to take care. I want a man who's ready to provide and take care. And so, the traditional values, we all, at the end of the day, crave that. And it's harder to find people who have outdone or don't feel intimidated when you have so much on your resume, So that's
So give us a checklist. What's on the checklist? We always
someone
start with
who's
height.
No, it's
Okay.
Islam for me first.
Okay.
I think I've been on this journey of just spirituality and exploring Islam and absolutely number one is someone who wants to love me for, the akhirah, and wants to see me in Jannah. Like, that's the first and foremost important thing, to love me outside of my physical being and what I have to offer in this dunya. And then establish, like I said, like, I've met people that feel very intimidated by what I'm doing, and that's just not a good balance in a relationship. I think a man should have his own thing going on and be proud of that, whatever it is. I think that's the most important couple things, be about family and religion. Yeah.
So I want to ask you something, and it's pretty obvious, because as immigrants, and you're a child of an immigrant, I feel like
I am an immigrant. I
you
moved
you
here
are
as
the
an
immigrant.
immigrant.
Yes, okay, so you are the immigrant. So, but you're also a child of an immigrant
Right,
as
and
well.
a child of an
Right, right.
immigrant.
Um, haven't your parents tried to like, do something about it? Because I mean, it's pretty common,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I
yeah,
know my mom and dad were like on top of me,
yeah,
and I was like 20,
yeah.
and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" Like. But anyways, yeah. So
I get it. It's very true. No, they've definitely tried. They've
so
definitely
they've done
tried.
their fair share.
They've tried. It's just, I think I was just very caught up in my own world. I was doing me. I was like very married to my career. You know, that passion you have, you're an immigrant, you're not enough, nothing's enough.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel enough until very recently. So now it's more like, okay, I can see myself finding somebody who's also going to be in a stable mental space and have that, whatever they have going on for themselves. But yeah, my parents were very much about like, let's get you married. My older and younger sisters are both married, so
That way.
no,
Okay.
well, yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
families were
Yeah. Yeah.
involved.
Yeah. 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 At some level, I think at some point, I feel like what they say is everybody somehow knows somebody, and so they talk,
Of
and that's
course.
kind of how things happen,
Exactly.
right? But
Yeah.
for you, that hasn't worked.
I'm like the odd child. I was a trouble kid that just like popped off and did her thing.
So okay, so obviously religion is important. Somebody who is financially successful, obviously, I think you're totally in the right for that. You would need, and I think that individual would want to be the person who is the caretaker.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, now how do we go about finding that person?
That's the thing. It's very hard. You can't just openly do anything about it. You meet people through friends and
Right.
acquaintances.
So you're saying it's organic.
Yes, it has to be. That's the way it works.
It's not through the apps or
It's
whatever's out there in
not.
the world,
I think
like
the dating
Muzmatch
apps
and like
and
what are they called, falafel, or I don't know.
falafel,
Like I don't know.
chicken shawarma.
There's like a bunch of apps now, like that cater to like primarily Muslim people meeting each other.
Just think about that. That's craziness, because now you're just like a menu of
Well,
like
you know what I'm thinking now that you say that? The Seema Auntie? Which show is that? The Netflix
Indian
show?
matchmaking.
We need one for like,
Pakistani
yeah,
Muslims,
exactly.
like, what's up? We need like
Yeah.
a Muslim auntie.
And she's expensive. So people
Yeah.
who reach out to her, obviously, like, she caters to a certain
Very, yeah.
clientele.
That's what I'm saying. Where are they at?
Where are they at? I'm sure they exist. Look, I'm sure they exist somewhere. I don't know where they're at. I'm out of the game. I've been out of the game for a very long time, so I don't know.
Lucky. Say alhamdulillah.
I met my wife in college,
Okay.
and we dated through from college all the way till when I graduated, and we got married right after I graduated.
Wow.
Because I was like, okay, like you said, the money was coming in, and we're like, okay, we're
Right.
making money. Okay, let's just get married.
Yeah.
And then we went through our ups and downs, obviously, but
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, marriage is. So I'm really like disconnected from
hard.
today's world, and because I have sisters who are younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked them, like, hey, are you dating someone? Do you have, like, what's going on? And they're like, you can't ask us that. I'm like, no, I can. I'm like, seriously.
I want to know.
I'm like, seriously, I
I'm
want to
helping
know. Yeah,
you.
what's going on? Like, how are we, what's the strategy?
Yeah.
And so from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zara, like, things are difficult now, right? They're like, what she's saying is correct. Like, it's like impossible to find
It's
somebody.
impossible.
Man. Okay, so walk us through some of the people you have found. Like we don't need names, obviously, but like, like what is wrong with them? What are they looking for? What are men today? Why are these men not competent or capable? What's
They
going
get
on?
intimidated so fast. That's the first thing. A
Uh,
lot of women have their stuff together. You know, they're
is it
doing
because of like the
things.
money? Is it
Yeah, like your
what?
job, your money, like what you're doing already. It's not. It's way more women became educated in this generation than
Yeah,
men did.
but the thing is that even today in the Muslim community, more women finish university than men,
That's what I'm
and more
saying.
women get their masters
Right.
than men,
Right.
right? So obviously, more women pick high-paying jobs over
Exactly.
men, because men have this entrepreneurial drive, and
Right.
that's not always a good thing, you know. I mean, like, entrepreneur could mean you're highly successful, or very much broke, you know.
Completely broke. It's
Right.
one or the other,
Right,
really.
exactly. There's no like real in
In
between. There's no
between.
stability, you know?
And that's great. You be an entrepreneur. But my dad always said, like, you can do whatever you want once we see your grad school degree. My dad said that to all of us, and he till this day he takes pride in that. And he's like, and honestly, I'm not sure if that's the right approach now, because you can do a lot of things that don't require a grad school degree, that make a lot of great, money and a stable work-life balance. But it's important to figure out how that money is going to come in for you regardless of what you're doing, because at the end of the day you have to find that financial stability for yourself. If you want to get married, like, as a man, like, come on, you have to have that figured
Yeah,
out.
of course. I mean, look, I think a few things for marriage are extremely important. One of them is, of course, the meher. I don't think people ask for enough
Yeah.
here in this country. I don't think they, it is what it is. Look, I'm not saying that, you have to come up with that, whatever, X amount of dollars. I'm just saying that if it's love, if it's a love marriage, then
Yeah.
the guy and the girl can decide whatever it is, and that's fine. But if it's an arranged marriage and there's families involved, because remember, with arranged marriages, you are marrying the family,
Yeah.
the entire family,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
And
even without love arranged marriages, you're marrying the family.
well,
Like,
that could be a little, because like, let's say for example, right? I live in Houston. My son moves to Colorado,
right.
finds a girl in Colorado. They get married, whatever it is. They're
Absolutely.
gonna have their life there. I'm not gonna move to Colorado, you know. But in an arranged marriage, usually, they need to be here.
Yeah.
No travel plans. We're
Yeah.
gonna have, and this is actually very good, and bad sometimes, but mostly good. Uh, where I'm going with this is, I guess, when you are part of an arranged marriage, you are marrying the entire family,
Yeah.
and that is a big part of our culture.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, actually, I shouldn't assume. Uh, what are your thoughts on that, marrying the entire family? So, if you're looking for a man today, uh, is that an important thing that you're looking at?
To be married to the family, or
Yeah,
to,
like, do you want them to be involved
I
with
don't
your
think it
family as well?
matters. It's my cousin's getting married right now, and her fiance. Well, they got their nikah done already, but her husband is here with his friends, and they're all staying, at my uncle's house, and we're all there together, and it's open vibes. So yeah, like in my family, especially, like, we're all about it. You're marrying into my family.
Yeah.
It's a big family, and you're marrying all of them.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of fun that comes with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that get intimidated by that. Like, you're just too many people.
Yeah.
But I think in our culture, especially the men, need to learn that that's actually a lot of fun.
That's the fun of it.
I love it. Like, I mean, I love spending time with my wife's family.
Yeah.
And so my wife's family live in Lebanon.
Oh,
And so
wow.
me and my wife, when we met in Dubai, they lived in Dubai at the time, and we
Okay.
lived in Dubai, and my family lived in Dubai at the time. We got married. The financial crisis hit. They had to go back,
Okay.
right? So they went back to Lebanon. We were in a tough spot in Dubai at that time. Anyways, I ended up moving to the U.S. after that. But till today, I am on at least 4 or 5 times a week with her family. Like, I will
Yeah.
call them, check on them, make sure they're okay, make sure they have everything they need.
They have this personal connection with you now.
And we grew
like-
up, like, I've been married for like 20, no, 15 years, I think now.
Wow.
15
You
years.
did not know
May-
the years that your
maybe-
wife is listening to this
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
right?
She is. Yeah, but she's understanding.
15.
So because we date, it's also, so it's very interesting. I'm gonna, give you a little bit of advice because I'm a little ahead of you when it
Tell
comes to
me.
that.
Give it to me.
So obviously, my wife and I, we dated for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Big no-no. Like, oh, shit, what the hell are you talking about? You need to get married.
Yeah.
You guys can't date. And we're like, no, we're just gonna date. We're just gonna hang out. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And if it's, if it's right, it's right. And so we dated for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 5 years, I think there was a lot of pressure from her family. They were like, look, man, like, it's 5 years. You need to get married at this
That's a
point.
long time.
That's a long time.
That's a
I agree.
really long
But at the
time.
same time, we were really young. So, we were in university. We met freshman year.
Yeah.
Until I got a job and I was actually like making money.
See, you were
Yeah.
taking care of your
Yeah.
finances.
So, I think I started really making money when I was like probably in not sophomore. What's the third year called? Junior
Junior
here?
year.
Junior, yeah. So I started making money a little bit in junior year, here and there. Senior year, I was kind of okay. Money's coming in. Dubai market was like kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated, it was '08. So financial crisis. So now I have to hustle, and it's like,
Exactly.
it was a really
It was a bad
problem.
time.
And I had to get married. So so I ended up getting married, alhamdulillah, but it was a really tough time for that. Now, I guess, passing this information down is, I got a lot of pushback from my family as well. Like, hey, she's not part of the culture. She doesn't understand, or whatever it is. And then eventually, as we kept like, meeting my family and talking to them, then they kind of were like, yeah, okay, we love her. So it went from one end all the way to the other end in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, maybe that's something, that you can just keep in the back of your head somewhere,
Yeah.
And it worked out, alhamdulillah, very well. And, we've been blessed with 2 kids. They're growing, they're grown now. And it's just, it's been a beautiful life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
So maybe that's something that maybe we need to get off the Muslim apps.
Yeah.
Maybe if
Those are not it.
those are not it. So realistically, okay, let's say you meet someone organically.
Yeah.
This individual is not intimidated by, your success. Alhamdulillah, you have success, which is awesome. What's the timeline? Like, what is there a timeline?
I don't like dating.
Okay, so you're talking
If I
straight
know,
into it.
I know, and if
Okay.
I don't, I'm not doing this. I
Okay.
just don't. I don't like being associated. I don't want to go out and do things in public.
it.
Like, it's a very short
Time.
timeline. We either know what's up or we're not wasting each other's time.
Okay, so it's pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, when it's right, it's right, and if it's not right, you should
Right.
be able to tell immediately. But how do you like for me? That's very like I don't get it. Like, how do you know so quickly? Like, it's a different human.
Right, I know. It's not that you know like how great they are all together. You don't know anything about. You can be married to someone and still don't know who they really are. You know,
Right.
it's just it's the energy they carry. Like, what are their priorities? What do they want? What do they see as important? And actions speak loud. You need to know them, meet them once to know what their priorities are in life.
What they're all about.
Right.
Damn, that's a risky move. And you're in business litigation.
I just watch people. I'm a watcher on a date.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's one way to do it for sure. The reason I bring that up is because I've seen both. I've
Yeah.
seen people jump into it like, hey, this is right, we're gonna do it, and I've seen people take their time, and neither one is right. Like, I've seen the people who did it on the first time, and they're like, yep, this is right. We're gonna, super successful marriages.
Right.
And the ones who took their time, they're not really succeeding.
I mean, we come from that culture, and my dad went on a vacation. He was 7 years old when his family moved to Abu Dhabi. So all of his siblings were born and raised there. He goes on a vacation to Pakistan with his parents, and it was
That's
a
how they get them.
1 week long vacation. 1 week long, gets married and comes back.
But that's what they do.
And he's happily
That's what
married.
they do. So
He's obsessed with my mom.
That's what they did. Even people here, older generations, that's exactly what they did. They would take them back, wherever they came from, Pakistan or, Middle East or whatever it was, and they'd be like, look at this girl, isn't she beautiful? And you're so young that anybody at that point will be like,
Sure,
so,
let's
sorry,
do
yes, this is
it.
it. But I feel like that is a blessing as well
I think so.
because you don't get distracted. Like for me, definitely 100% a blessing,
Yeah.
right? I didn't. I had seen some, but I had not seen so much, and I hadn't confused myself or distracted myself,
Right.
right? Maybe I dated around a little bit, and then I met my wife, and so
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't get the time to really, understand what is going on in the world,
Yeah.
and so that made my choosing very easy.
Right. That's what I'm
Both
saying.
my
These
wife and I.
apps are like, it's like a menu option. Like, it's so overstimulating. It's
Yeah.
just not
And
natural.
you're saying there's no matchmakers at a caliber, like at a level.
Oh, I don't think so. I would love to
Oh,
meet them if there
okay.
are.
I'm sure they exist. They have to. There has to be.
I don't
We need
know
to start a
enough,
business. If
right?
if it doesn't exist, you and I need to partner up and
That's
start a
it.
business. That's it. We're gonna start a Simanti style matchmaking. We'll call her. What can we call her, Zara? We need to call her like a Muslim Pakistani name.
Right.
Yeah. Call her Samira Auntie. that
Samira auntie.
that would work.
I'd
That would,
love to meet her.
yeah, exactly. That would be pretty cool. So, once again, thank you for coming here. You flew to Houston. You came, visited me. We had this beautiful
Yeah.
conversation. Now, what do you think of Texas?
My cousin has been going around showing me all over, going, "Do you think you can live here? Do you see yourself living here eventually, ever, ever, ever?" And I'm like,
So you know what weddings are, which is what I'm getting to.
"No, what do you
Weddings are
mean?"
basically a place for you to find your.
Oh
Come on,
God.
come on, you know that. You know that, Nida.
Yeah, that's true. You meet a lot of people at
Yeah,
weddings.
you do. How big is the wedding?
It's pretty big.
Like how big?
Like people are flying over from New York, California.
So is it like 1,000-person wedding?
I don't know the head count, but they were like we're booking out the entire hotel
Yeah.
and everyone's staying there for the week, like just
Yeah, because
everything.
there's
Is
so
just,
many events,
there's
cultural
so
events,
many,
and
yeah.
the
And there's
henna,
so
the
many people
mehndi,
coming and just. My cousin was literally complaining about that earlier. She was like, "I wanted a small, intimate one."
That doesn't happen.
That's not a thing.
That doesn't
I was
happen.
like, "Sorry,
With-
sweetheart."
Especially with the parents, there's no way
No,
that's
her
gonna
dad
happen.
is going all out. We've been food testing all over Houston, booking food, drinks, like desserts, agas, all these different places.
Badil
Like,
Agha's is really good.
yeah, they're catering one of the days
Yeah,
and just
they're really good. That's good food. Yeah, small weddings are not a thing, guys.
No.
Especially if you're like children of immigrants, or it's not a
Yeah.
thing. So you know what this means? This means this could potentially be the last time that we have this conversation,
as
and
a single girl.
maybe depending on how quickly you observe and make your decisions.
Depending on how I meet the right
Yeah,
person.
yeah. But look, I'll tell you what. Houston is definitely a melting pot. Very diverse. Good place to be. But it's not nowhere close to like where you're coming from.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
I keep hearing otherwise, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about Houston
So
yet.
I mean, if anybody tells you, hey, you need to move to Houston, if you're moving because of love or justified, but there's nothing else.
Oh, that's a big one to drop on me. So
Yeah.
now I really can't move here.
I mean, really, what is there? Compare Houston to California. There's really what do we have? I mean, I'm talking Houston, right?
Yeah.
Of course, now if you're in Austin, maybe it's a little different.
Really?
It's better vibe.
This
you know,
is
you
my
have-
first time
you have a
in
little bit
Texas
of-
altogether. I
you-
don't know anything
You have a
here.
little bit of nature. There's the Colorado River goes through it. Beautiful, younger people. It's very different. But Houston specifically, I don't know what there is to do
It's
in
like a family vibe here.
There's
Like
food.
Suburban. Food.
There's food. There's a lot of
That's
food.
what you guys get to rave
Yeah,
about.
yeah, that's
Especially
it,
this
that's it.
like
And then-
Pakistani culture here is crazy, I heard. Like all the restaurants and everything.
Pakistani culture here is insane.
It's so interesting.
There's a lot of food, but I think that's all I can really think about.
You're really not selling Houston to me.
I don't know how to sell it. Like, look, okay, I can tell you this, that you work remote. It's hot. I don't know what to
We
tell
have
you.
air conditioner
Yeah, we have AC.
and water.
We don't have a beach. Oh, the one thing people will tell you is taxes.
Yeah, but
Right?
I pay
So that's why I'm
California
here.
taxes.
So interesting story. Okay, I didn't tell you this. So when I moved from Dubai, I initially moved to Irvine, California.
oh, okay.
Because it was the closest, closest as in like Dubai vibes, Irvine
Right.
vibes are very similar.
Yeah.
And I had an uncle who lived in Irvine, California. So I moved to his house. He lived in Irvine. Beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so nice. I was like, okay, that's it. Let's do business in California, right? Very quickly learned that I have nowhere enough money to do business in California. I thought,
Yeah.
because I came here with like, I want to say like $500,000 or
Yeah.
something, and I was like, yeah, I'm the king of the world.
No,
29
that
years
means
old.
nothing.
I have $500,000. That's it. I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna be super successful. And then very quickly I realized that, oh, I don't think this is the place for me to like, start a business
Yeah.
with that much money. I need way more. You need millions of dollars, right, to start a business. Um, and so I moved, actually, believe it or not, to Katy, Texas. And then from Katy, I kind of sort of moved my way around and then ended up here.
Okay.
But Katy, Texas, at the time was one of the fastest growing zip codes.
Mm.
And so, and the reason I'm here is taxes.
Yeah.
Taxes,
It's
and I could start my business. Obviously, you are in a much better position. So
yeah.
there's no reason for you really to move, unless, like I said, this is the last time that we speak, and you're, unmarried,
Not a single
single, not
girl.
a single girl anymore. So if that changes, then we may see you, moving. I don't know. Is that even a thing?
I don't know.
Could it be a thing?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be super opposed to it, but I'm not sold.
Okay. Okay. You're not sold.
I'm not sold, but it's not closed off.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, trajectory as an attorney. So, of course, you mentioned philanthropy. You mentioned a lot of giving back, um, but trajectory as an attorney. How far are you going to go? Or because obviously you're going to go somewhere. You're
Yeah.
fairly young. Uh, what is that?
I love practicing.
Okay.
I have a passion for litigation. That was the reason why I told you mock trial is all like a show. You're putting on a show, and that's litigation. You're in court, you're doing the whole thing. I love that. But like I said, it was also very tolling very quickly when it was in person. Now I'm remote, it's different. But the thing about it is, we have now come up with great systems of how to be remote, right? Like pandemic times really taught law firms how to fully run everything remote. So some of us are in Hawaii, some of us are in LA, some of us are in Texas, and it's working. Everything's fully remote. So as far as I can see myself practicing, as long as I'm doing, a bit of everything, because I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I like doing so much, and like my day, there's no one thing I'm doing. So as long as I can do it all, I would love to keep practicing.
Okay.
Yeah,
So law is where it's at, and that's
it's great.
and so when you say remote, obviously now I've been to a couple of speed tickets,
Speeding tickets.
speeding tickets. Remotely. So is that kind of the setup? Like you're just in a courtroom and you do the whole thing completely remote and
It's very little courtroom stuff
Okay.
because civil is a lot of paperwork. It's a
Okay.
lot of let's talk about money and call
Okay.
each other's clients and insurance companies and
Got it.
the people we're representing. So it's a lot more
Okay.
writing motions and discovery responses. It's a lot more writing. And reading and responding back to legal documentation that gets submitted to the court, but very little actual court stuff. We're doing depositions that are recorded and Zoom
Remotely?
calls. Yeah.
Depositions remotely?
I do
How can you be
depositions.
aggressive like in a
That's the
deposition
thing.
remotely? I don't like I watch Harvey Specter all the time and I feel like you need to be in that room
I love that in person, that
Yeah.
energy, like the clash that's
because you can't
happening.
really threaten anyone on a deposition remotely.
No. So my boss literally last week, he was like, I need all of you guys to try to do in person if you can now. Like it's not they lifted the law for COVID in March. So it's no longer a law that you can use like the COVID as an excuse to remotely appear. So they're trying to push us to do more in-person depositions, but like I said, the world is working perfectly remotely. So
Like I could imagine if someone was trying to depose me remotely, I would just laugh the whole time. I'd be like,
I'm not scared.
I'm like, what is this? Because when you're in a deposition and it's
scary.
it's scary,
Yeah.
especially for people who have never done a deposition.
Oh,
it's
I
scary
love
stuff.
it. That's
Yeah.
my favorite
Oh,
part.
the newbies. Yeah. So I did I got into it this year. So
Yeah.
I was a newbie before then.
Yeah.
But anyways, I feel like it's almost like very ineffective. I would think remote. Like if someone was trying,
It's pretty effective.
It is?
The thing is, again, we're dealing with a lot of money stuff. It's not,
Okay.
it doesn't need to be as aggressive as criminal practice, where
Okay.
I had to be in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
person, facing a lot of things. Civil it's more civil. It's like a more civil practice, so it doesn't need to be as aggressive. And
Okay.
sometimes it does, but you can make the point through Zoom.
Okay, excellent. Future as an influencer,
Okay.
specifically, like what is your brand going towards?
Personalization, authenticity. It's still very beauty related, lifestyle, but as I grow, my brand grows, and I want that to be very open and something I share with my audience.
Okay.
So it's a lifelong, like a marriage. I
It's
love
a,
my followers. I can't leave them hanging.
so your future husband is gonna be walking around with the camera and
Oh no, he can do his own thing. He can
what
have
does
his
that
own
mean? What does
life.
that mean?
Be busy in your businesses,
Okay.
your work, your
Okay.
gym. I don't know. Like I think social media, I keep it very like, although I'm sharing stuff with my followers, that's still work to me. It's not like, I'm not doing it all the time. I strategically plan it.
Yeah.
It's content I create and post, and it's done. So that's just it's treated like work.
Okay. Okay. And then he can go do his own
And
thing,
he can do his own
stay busy.
thing.
So there's not a family channel. It's not turning into a family
I don't
channel.
think
Yeah.
so.
I feel like you need the right partner for that. Like if that was a thing, because obviously I'm on social media as well. I could never imagine bringing my wife on
Right.
because
It's
she's
just not.
yeah, it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, unless I end up marrying a content creator and that's just what ends up being our life, then yeah. But
Okay. Um, let's talk about your most recent shift in your content because there's been a shift.
yes.
Let's talk about that. I feel like that's very enlightening. I think people need to hear about it, and it's a journey that you've, you know. I feel like I want to say after Ramadan, I noticed that that's kind of where you're trying to go. And let's talk
Um,
about that. So let's talk about that shift.
yeah.
What caused it?
My grandma passed in 2021, December.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And it was the first time I experienced death in my family, just losing somebody so close to me that I've just loved all my life. I've lived with them since we were in Abu Dhabi all the way here. We've always lived together. And just realizing how things are so very much temporary, and what you leave behind is what you leave behind. So how can I better that?
That's what caused the shift.
That was the start of it. Yeah. It was like, mid pandemic, there was a lot of self reflection time, I think, for all of us. And I wasn't the only one. I saw a lot of my friends grow into who they're becoming today. And I think a lot of people I know in general, acquaintances, people had a personality shift and like a self reflection moment during the pandemic. So it was a lot of that, and my grandma passing, and just being so isolated from this world where we were 24, like I had 2 to 3 events a day, casual, no big deal, every day that I would attend in LA. I was living inside of West Hollywood and downtown. I was just going out every single day. So it was just, there was never a time to stop and just let your thoughts be it. And when I got removed from that during the pandemic, I, quarantined with my parents, and it was like, well, we're quarantining for a day or a week, and then 2 weeks, and then a month, and like nobody knew where the world was headed and what was going on. And I was still paying rent in LA, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna move in with my parents, and it was the best decision I ever made. I got closer to my family, and my family is more conservative. My siblings, they all pray 5 times a day. My parents pray 5 times a day, so I come from a very conservative family. And, being in that spotlight, I was so far removed from that world. And I think just all those things combined, I had to step back and say, this is my time to shift my personality. Like, it's never too late, but this right now, whatever I'm feeling, I need to work on it and embrace it. So that was definitely where it started.
And is that the story with the tattoo removal as well?
So the tattoo is actually my grandfather's handwriting,
What
and
does it say?
It says Nasib.
Nasib, okay.
And I was in a very low point in my life. I had been failing the bar exam, just a lot of stuff. And my grandma calls me on my birthday, and she had Alzheimer's, and may Allah give her soul rest in the highest place in Jannah. But she calls me on my birthday without realizing it was my birthday, and she just kept saying, "Your Nasib's gonna get better. Your Nasib is just, it's so full of life, like you don't realize it yet." And so I called my grandpa on the other line, and I was like, "Can you write the word Nasib?" And I was in San Francisco at the time for my birthday, and I went to a tattoo shop in SF and got this tatted. And to me, I like I said, I grew up with my parents, grandparents. They were just as close to me as my parents are. So when I was at my lowest of all the lows of my life, I thought my grandparents were the most precious thing to me, and this dedication meant everything to me. Like, this is how I'm going to hold on to them. But during the pandemic, it really started hitting me like my grandma's gone and the world is temporary, and I cannot hold on to her or my grandpa no matter what I do. And so this tattoo kind of started like haunting me almost. It was like, am I ready to meet my Lord? Because everyone else is getting ready for that. And I'm over here holding on to the dunya things, the temporary things. So it all kind of finally started dawning on me that this is temporary. This needs to be off. My life needs to change. And I can't be so attached to the worldly things, right?
Right, for sure. I think it's a beautiful journey. Um, and definitely, we're all here and we all have to think about the akhirah, end of the day, So there's always good people who are thinking about it, but there's also bad people who are thinking about it, which is weird, but,
It's not weird though. That's the best part about it. We're all human, and we're all some kind of bad, and we're some kind of, like all my life, the more I delved into this crazy life in LA, the more people started labeling me like, okay, well, she's never gonna be better, or this girl is just whatever, the haram police. Like, the whole world was continuously labeling me, and it felt like that's who I am. That's it. That's my identity. I'm always going to be hated by the haram police. I'm always going to get judged by the world. And so I was like, well, if I'm bad, then that's it. I'll stick with it. I'll take it. But that's the beauty of Islam, is Allah is the most merciful, the most forgiving. He's just waiting for you. And so to finally let go of that identity and feel like it's never too late. It's never, ever too late to turn around and be like, all right, well, I'm going to be a new person. I'm going to dress differently. I'm going to look different. I'm going to talk different. And if now this is what you're going to hate, I'm getting hate anyway. Like,
yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, well, of course, my definition of bad is when you intentfully hurt other people
Right.
with intention.
Absolutely.
So, we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
And but you're right. People change, and
Even those people
even
that are
those people, yeah,
intentionally
yeah,
hurting, they might not know better.
Right,
They might
right,
not see the light
exactly.
in the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. All right. What is life in California like right now? So I know you're in a good place, alhamdulillah. I can tell that you have some crazy positive energy, which is awesome. But what is life in Cali like?
Life in California is great. It's a good place for being Muslim if you want, crazy if you want, not
Everything
crazy,
is there.
whatever you want.
Eh,
I think
Is
you
the community
choose.
growing?
What community are we
Like the
talking about?
Pakistani community,
There's a
Muslim
huge
community?
Pakistani
Huge, right?
community, huge Muslim community. Like, especially my parents are in the suburban areas, and it's just nice there. It's like multiple mosques all Ramadan. Me and my cousins, we were mosque hopping. Like, we were like, let's go to this qiyam and then this qiyam. Like, there's just so much to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I did
Alhamdulillah.
not know that, by the
Oh
way.
yeah.
I seriously did not know that. I know that there's a few mosques in Southern California
Yeah.
somewhere, but that's about it. But that's really awesome to hear
Yeah.
that you guys were mosque hopping like
Yes,
that.
that's what we do.
That's awesome. Well, I just want to take a moment and thank you once again for coming here and being on the show live. You've really inspired a lot of people. I want to let you know that firsthand, just by following you, and seeing your journey. You will inspire a lot of people. And inshallah, you find what you're looking for in a man very soon. Hopefully, this wedding. If not, then, in due time. But once again, I want to thank you, Nida, for being here.
Thank you for having me.